Mr. Carvajal, welcome. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your testimony. What currently is happening to Bureau of Prison inmates who are criminal aliens when their terms of incarceration expire? Are they being transferred immediately to DHS for deportation?
Senator, we have immigration hearing programs at 24 of our sites. We work in conjunction with ICE to do hearings. ICE makes the final determination of whether or not they're going to be deported or not. So we have a process that works with that. About 17% of our population are non-U.S. citizens. But again, ICE, working with them, they determine whether or not they're going to be deported. Typically, if they make that determination, there's a time frame. They come and pick them up, and then they're released to them.
So what percent of criminal aliens are being deported after they've served their prison time?
Senator, I don't know that information. You would have to ask the Department of Homeland Security. I don't track that system because it's not within my authority. So
the Bureau of Prisons doesn't keep records as to whether inmates are being released into the American population or being released into the custody of ICE?
Yes, we do, Senator. I just don't have that number in front of me. We can follow up with you on that.
Okay, I would ask you to please provide those data. What does the Bureau of Prisons do with inmates to minimize the risk of COVID transmission?
Like we do with everything else, Senator, we educate them. We enforce the rules. We provide face coverings, PPE. We try to spread our population out as appropriate as we can, put things in place, barriers, the same thing that I would say everyone else is doing to minimize the risk.
You also have reasonable social distancing so that inmates are not crowded in too closely with each other?
That was a challenge because prisons are made to contain people closely. So that has been one of our biggest struggles. But we are doing the best we can at this point, and with a reduced population, we've been able to do that. We're redistributing our population. We put COVID target population numbers on those open dorm facilities for the reason you said, so that we can allow more space between them. And we've expanded the use of non-traditional areas to spread them out.
A couple of weeks ago, I led a delegation of 19 senators who traveled to the southern border, traveled to the Rio Grande Valley, and we saw firsthand the crisis that is unfolding on our southern border. We visited the Donna tent facility, which was constructed to meet this enormous surge of illegal immigration that is happening right now. The Biden administration had implemented a ban on media seeing what was happening at the Donna facility. It's an unprecedented ban. Prior administrations did not ban the media from going in. The Trump administration allowed the media in. The Obama administration allowed the media in. The Bush administration allowed the media in. The Clinton administration allowed the media in. The Biden administration blocked reporters and cameras from seeing what happened. The Donna tent facility is this enormous tent city. It has a capacity of 1,000. It was built to hold 1,000 people. Under COVID restrictions, its capacity is 250. The day we visited the Donna facility, there were over 4,200 people crammed into a facility designed to hold 250 people with COVID restrictions. We saw firsthand the Biden cages. Joe Biden is building more and more cages filled with children, and the cages are more and more full than they've ever been. In these Biden cages, we saw little boys and little girls. They weren't 6 feet apart. They weren't 3 feet apart. They weren't even 3 inches apart. They were lying side by side by side on the floor. They had no beds. They had no cots. They had no mats. On the floor, holding emergency reflective blankets. The rate of COVID positivity in the Donna facility is over 10%. What we saw is inhumane. It is a humanitarian crisis. It's a national security crisis. It's a public health crisis. And it was preventable. It's the direct consequence of political decisions made by Joe Biden and the Biden administration. In the Federal Bureau of Prisons, would it be acceptable for federal prisoners to be housed in cages where they were side by side lying next to each other, packed in the midst of a pandemic?
Senator, the simple answer to that is no. We are scrutinized often for how we house our people during COVID. It's, as I stated, it's a challenge, but we absolutely treat everyone with dignity and respect. We have standards, and we meet that regardless of what day it is or what's going on.
And is there any Federal Bureau of Prisons facility that would be allowed to continue at 1,700% capacity, which is what the Donna Tent facility is right now?
Again, Senator, I've never experienced that. I know we've been overcrowded before. We're fortunate at this point that we have ample bed space, but I don't want to answer that because I don't know the answer. I haven't faced that to be able to tell you that.
Well, all of this is continuing, and it's getting worse, and it's getting worse because of political decisions the Biden administration continues making. Thank you.